Are you suffering from relationship deja vu? Sometimes we find ourselves stuck and may need a push to move on. Let's welcome Deb Shanilak and learn how she helps women accomplish this. Welcome, Deb.
Thank you for having me.
And welcome to the show. Tell me, how did you get started with this, and what is the concept?
Well, it's based on my own experience of having been through a divorce 12 years ago and a string of unsuccessful relationships following after that. And I finally said one day, look, okay, obviously what I've learned from the culture and my family and women's magazines and movies and popular songs isn't working for me. So I went and found the information that did. I did the work on myself, and now I'm showing other women how to do the same thing.
So let's go back to this. Are there problems that are significant that people make all the time, or are these benchmarks that you're seeing?
Yes, it's very common for people to get stuck in resentment and justification and dynamics in relationships that repeat themselves, and until you figure out why that's happening, you're going to stay stuck. So
this is something that they may have done early on in childhood with friendships and family, but it might come out when it's in failed relationships?
Exactly.
Okay. So what are some of the things that you or this process would help them with?
Well, I give them the tools that they need to get past those blocks. So we work on different frameworks of looking at relationships.
So you have a formula?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But although it's unique to each person, because everybody is somewhere different on the spectrum. So it's not like you have to be working on week 2, but you really way up here in week 30. It's wherever you are. That's where I meet you and move you forward.
So you mentioned resentments. What are some of the other failed things that you were talking about? What are some of the other mistakes that people might make in the relationships?
Well, getting stuck in resentment, or always choosing somebody who's emotionally unavailable. That's a common mistake because it feels so familiar. We kind of fall into that common pattern.
Okay. So if then somebody comes to you, and how is this done? How do they?
Well, it's usually when I describe to somebody what I do, they think, oh, I have a sister or a cousin or a friend who should talk to you. So a lot of it's referral work. But once we do get together, I do my work over the phone, so geography isn't an issue. Right now I have a client in Manhattan and Alabama. I've worked with somebody in London and Dubai, so geography isn't an issue.
So once somebody's been referred, let's start at the process. You know, so.
I wrote an ebook about this whole process of how I came to this information and putting it together for myself to be successful, to be in a connected and committed relationship. So we use that as a framework for common vocabulary, and I have a questionnaire that I ask the same kind of questions in enough different ways to really figure out what's going on for that person, so we know where to start.
So it must involve a lot of listening and processing their information.
Exactly. Okay. And usually that's the first time somebody's really been heard.
And so then you can go back and get the questions and tailor some of your...
Exactly. Exactly.
What is your background on, are you seeing yourself as a coach, as a counselor? What is your background on this?
I call myself a thought chaperone because it's really adjusting your mindset and having somebody who's on your side and has been there before take you through and show you where, oh, you're falling back into this pattern again. Let's go over here.
So in other words, you're almost providing the mirror, not the window. You're holding up something for them to see.
Exactly. That's important.
Okay. Because obviously they're probably not going to change unless they can see that in themselves.
Exactly.
So you're helping them work on themselves.
Exactly.
Okay. So you were saying Dubai and Manhattan. So they've come to you. Does it take longer for some people than other people, or how does...
Usually the people I work with, they know that they have to do something with themselves because they recognize it's a pattern, and they're ready to do the work. And it's amazing how quickly things can fall into place and other facets of their lives improve as well. Okay,
I was going to ask you that. Is there like some follow-up after do they graduate out of a program? How does that work?
Well,
you get a diploma?
We both kind of know when they're done. And I work in chunks of 3 or 6 or 12 months.
Okay, there's a time frame and a plan and a formula. And then do you do follow-up after, or does it just kind of go?
Yes, I like to follow up and see what's going on. And usually people email me or call me and say, oh, this great thing happened, I have to share it with you.
Is there a typical age or not a typical? There's nothing typical about it?
No, I've 30, 69, it's just whenever they're ready to do the work. It's never too late and it's never too early.
Is there something that just is the most gratifying part of this business for you?
Oh,
obviously besides your own life, but
yes, just being able to witness when I target my business mostly to women, but I also work with men. But whenever somebody finally is waking up to who they really are and their lives start to come together the way they want it to, that's really gratifying.
So you can almost see that in them.
Oh yes, and hear it in their voice, even though we're halfway across the world from each other. It's amazing.
And I think that anonymity thing is probably comfortable for them.
Yes, there's safety there,
Yeah.
so they can really open up.
And that's probably the easier part because they're not sitting there and looking at somebody like we are,
Exactly.
or laying on a couch or something like that.
Exactly.
Well, I think it sounds very interesting, and I want to thank you for coming on the show and sharing that story.
Thank you.